10 years tomorrow, which is pretty amazing. I definitely have photos from an event in April of 2014, April or May, but it's likely that I went to one before that. We'll see. It's funny, I remember hearing about Feature Friday, which is the original name for Founders Live, and I got tickets to it. It was free to attend, which was great. I was working at a design agency just around the block from where it was going to be held, so I could go after work, which fits in perfect with my event schedule. I like to go to a lot of events, so I go to this one. It's around the corner, and they were offering free food. I'm like, I'm in. Free food, free admission, founders talking about tech stuff and like all this, sounds perfect. I'm in. So I went and I was hooked.
Thinking back to when Founders Live was started, I was not in a very good place, actually, personally. I had a previous startup had really ran its course and, really just, crashed. And, that was probably took a little longer than it should. And it was quite stressful on me. And it, it put me in not a great place financially. I was actually, for a time, staying with my sister and her family and like sleeping in the spare bedroom. And, just because I had to leave the place I was staying, there was just, the roommates, it was time to leave and I didn't have a place to go. And so I was living, with my sister and her family and just kind of struggling to find things. And so I think sometimes in our times of strife, we dig deep and we find our path and our purpose. And so in 2013, 2014, I was just not in that great place, and I had to dig, and I had to ask myself, what did I want? And I can tell you that I wanted purpose. I wanted to do something that was impactful. And, I'm almost getting emotional now about it, but, I just wanted to impact people and serve them and be something, not only personally be important, but to create something that would inspire people and move them forward. And that's what I wanted. And lo and behold, I just put on this event. I just wanted to get people together. That's it. And magic happened that night of March 28th, 2014. And it was just cool. It was cool to bring people together, created this format, and it helped other people shine. And that's one thing I discovered is if you create experiences where other people can shine, everything is going to be okay. You're taken care of because you're creating an environment where people can step up and be great themselves and discover their own greatness. And I saw that first night that it was going to be something much bigger. Founders Live really go back to, actually, it was even before 2014, around 2010, 2011, 2012, I had created something called Founders Raw. And Founders Raw was really just an interview series with entrepreneurs and founders there in the Seattle community. And, we would, kind of similar to this, we would fire up cameras. I would reach out to a founder that had built something or was in the ecosystem there in Seattle, and we'd go on location, find a really cool bar or somewhere to sit down and maybe have a beer, and we would just talk and have really a video podcast interview even before that was much more of a popular thing. Well, it's called Founders Raw, and it was really the raw stories of entrepreneurship. And I did that for a few years and had a friend that was helping me out and all of that. And then it just became clear that, I wanted more. And I personally wanted, I was, as you hear this story of, I was kind of in this weird place in my life, and I wanted more. And I wanted to do, something bigger and bring community together. And so, from Founders Raw, we kind of put that aside. Hey, if you go on to Google, you can probably, if you go on to YouTube, you can probably find Founders Raw interviews and conversations. So, go ahead and check those things out. They're fun. But we put that aside, and then that's where this kind of Feature Friday thing came about, and started to create the event, Feature Friday, there in Seattle. And it was just a monthly event getting people together, and it was just one thing led to another, and all of a sudden we have this thing that's growing in Seattle, totally underground, really literally underground. So some of the first locations that we held the event were in like this downstairs. It was actually a WeWork, but you would go downstairs to the underground floor, and it was like this room, but it almost looked like a living room to your friend's like big basement of house. Like it was just big, but it was also like this downstairs kind of like big party room, I guess. But it was really fun, and those early days were exciting. I knew that we were onto something. I knew that if Feature Friday worked in one city, it can work in many cities around the world. Back when I started Founders Live, this was again back in 2014, kind of crazy enough, I also started a relationship at that time. And, her name was Jackie, and, was just a really beautiful relationship. She was a really amazing woman, beautiful in all respects. And we really took, and we took off, and we really hit it off really well. And so, that became about a 4.5, almost 5-year relationship, and something very interesting, something very powerful happened. And I came to realize as, we got more serious, and, we moved in, and we weren't married, but it was going that direction. And what happened was my life started to kind of separate, or I guess the path with her was this direction, and when I started seeing like the Founders Live events in like Africa and Latin America, so other countries were doing this and it was growing, my path started to do this. And incredibly difficult decision, and I had to choose, and I chose my path. I chose my greatness, and nothing against her. She deserved more than I could give her, but I knew, even in this was 2007, 18, I knew there was much more greatness in front of me that required my all. And I just couldn't do both of those things. And so we ended up splitting up. And, from there, I actually discovered this path of travel. When we broke up, I had to move out and put all my stuff in storage. And I literally, I even wrote a big blog post. I said, I'm hitting the road. I'm traveling the world, and I'm going to go visit Founders Live cities. And in 2019, this is when I discovered not only my love for travel, but the fact that, as the CEO and the leader, it's best for me to go meet our people, to go work with our leaders, and to discover greatness that is all around the world in every single city, whether it's the talented entrepreneurs that are building amazing things, or it's the cobblestone streets, the amazing food, and just the freedom of travel. I set out a path to go do that, and haven't looked back.
One of the most difficult decisions I've ever had to make was releasing that relationship. But when I let go with that relationship, I fully embraced my greatness, my path, and everything that we're building around the world. So if there's a lesson here, I encourage you to fully find your greatness and your path, however that happens in your life.